What feels most different to you right now? And what do you attribute this really quick acceleration in the last several months, even?
Yeah, I think clearly it's speed, right? Speed is the game changer for what we are doing because that bottleneck has shifted. The bottleneck no longer lives at engineering in the way that it did before. It used to be that you could go do some work and you could hand it off to engineering, and 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, you would get something back that's okay, cool, now we can react to this. And that's just not it anymore. The teams are taking these huge steps. We give them huge bodies of work, and the teams are able to take huge steps to move the product forward, whatever it is that you're making. And that's really a fundamental shift in the way that we've thought about making software. There used to be a philosophy, make your user stories as small as possible. I'm not sure that's relevant. In fact, I'm sure that's not relevant at the moment. So why the last 6 months? Because I think the adoption curve, we finally went over some element in the adoption curve where teams were like really putting it into practice, really getting there. I think the models got to a certain point, and then it took a little while for the actual engineering teams to shift over. And yeah, so I think that's what's driven it. In one sense, I really want all the organizations to be moving very quickly through this curve, but the reality is most of them can't go through the curve fast enough. They don't. It's just hard to steer a big ship. That's what's happening.
Yeah, when you say that teams are able to take huge steps that they weren't able to before, what does that kind of look like in practice? What's maybe an example of that you've seen recently?
Yeah. So, we used to do user stories. We'd break the user stories down as small as we can. And now we're in a space where bigger is better because the engineer doesn't have to hold all that in their head. They're able to take something that looks more like a spec, which I'm sure you've heard about spec-driven development. You take something that looks more like a spec. It could be 10 pages long that describes this entire feature. This is the way we've been doing development on Product Forge. Is like you build this feature based on this 10-page document, but you start by feeding it into a model and asking the model to do the work, not like as a human. It's not that you don't need to understand it. It's that it's so much context that it doesn't make sense for you to try to understand it. You're better off to just get it in there, get the thing built, and then allow the business and allow yourself to react, obviously you first as an engineer, to react to what you've just created and go, is this consistent with the kind of thing that we create normally? Is it consistent with the kind of thing that we want to be creating right now? Is it consistent with this document? Is the document wrong in some places? They've got questions like this that they're going to answer. And yeah, so I think that's what it looks like is this giant document gets fed in there and then you get a feature out the other side. And it's hours, not weeks. So we've gone from, let's say, 3 to 6 to an afternoon to crank out something valuable.